Thank you all very much for coming. It's nice to see some familiar faces and also some new faces here. My name's Roger, and I'm an art historian and a curator, and it's my pleasure to be the host for today's event. So before we start, I'd like to say a few thank yous. Thank you again to all of you for coming. Thank you to Art Agenda and C-Focus for hosting us. And thank you to the wonderful team at Nova Contemporary for all your work organising today's event. Today what we're going to do is have a fairly leisurely conversation between the two of us, and there'll be plenty of time for your questions at the end. While we're talking, if something's not clear or if you have a question, feel free to raise your hand and maybe we can come back to it towards the end. So without further ado, it's my really, really great pleasure to introduce Supawich Weesapen, who's here with us today. It's actually his first time to visit Singapore, and indeed it's his first time to be exhibiting his artworks outside of Thailand. I've had the really great pleasure of talking with Supawich over the last few months and learning a great deal from him about his approach to artwork, and he's really someone who strikes me as being not just a very promising artist for the future, but also having a lot of great wisdom far beyond his years. So Supawich was born in 1997 in northeastern Thailand. He graduated from Silpakorn University in 2020. This is Thailand's oldest and most prestigious university, and it's one that's equally well known for its technical precision as it is for its stylistic conservatism. So that's something that we might come back to a bit later. Supawich has been showing his works in group exhibitions around Thailand, as well as in art fairs that Nova Contemporary has been participating in Bangkok. As part of the introduction, Supawich, you wanted us to be able to show to the visitors here today some images of the drawings that you've been making ever since you were a really young child. So maybe we'll show that image and you can tell us why you wanted us to see this.
Maybe I will say hi to everyone again. And as my voice is shaking, hello everyone. Yeah, I'm Supawich. This is my first time here in Singapore as an artist and physical human. And yeah, this is my drawings and paintings since I was young, since I can remember. They are all over the wall and the floor. My parents, they are really nice to me. It's like my privilege. And now today, the works of the S.E.A is spreading to Singapore, and I'm very happy for him and for me too, because that's me.
Thanks. So let's move on to the paintings that hopefully you've all had a chance to see downstairs in C-Focus. They're very mysterious paintings. And I think the first thing that strikes me when I saw these paintings is the colour, the very, very intense and very familiar but eerie use of colour here. So can you talk a bit about your general approach to colour in these paintings?
At first, I was trying to create the light in painting. I was trying to paint the light because, light and painting have a long history. And yeah, in my paintings, they are beautiful and they are colorful also. And as you can see, they have a feeling of RGB things, RGB colors. And you go to the next slide. And RGB colors is the color mode that only displayed on the screen, and it's a mixing system that will lead the color to the brighter result. Just like how I try to paint, I try to make the brighter result. I try to create the light, and
Just to go on a bit more about RGB color system. So it's a bit counterintuitive, really, in that you add more color, but then you get more light, right? More color doesn't make it more dark, but more light. Is that right?
Yeah, usually to mix the color or adding colors together will make the result darker, but It's my, it's luckily that I found this way to paint the light. Maybe because, I was born in the era of digital, and RGB colors is the colors that have been added into my subconsciousness. And it's kind of natural color for me that, so yeah, it's my lucky that I find this way.
So you find this color to be natural.
Yeah.
And did you deliberately start painting in RGB colors? Or
No, at first it's not have a feeling of RGB. It's like a calm feeling oh, of the blue atmosphere, but I can see the potential of the how beautiful the light I can paint in the back of the landscape. So I continue develop this effect and try to focus more on the light.
But I think what makes the color so mysterious, like for example in this painting, is that it's not quite the blue of the sky. It's the blue of the sky when I take a photo of it with my phone.
Yeah, maybe for me, the RGB color is just like it's like cultures and language that change over time, and maybe my blue of the sky is also changed because maybe I can see the sky on my phone many more than looking up. Yeah.
I think this is related to the color, but it's a bit separate. Another thing that really strikes me when I look at the paintings downstairs is that they seem to be glowing. You have this you achieve this very luminous effect with the balance of light on the colors, and from a distance they don't look like paintings. They look like digital screens. They look like they're backlit digital screens. So I'm curious if you could talk a bit more about the technique you use to achieve this kind of very luminescent effect with the light and color.
Yeah, as I mentioned before, I luckily found this technique, my own way to make the light, and it's to, it's maybe it's a secret, but my technique is to layering the transparent colors, and you may see in the painting that the effect of the painting is different from usual, and to layering the transparent color, it will allow the light to get through the layers and reflect out to our eyes. And I don't know, I think we will receive all the layers behind also, and it also make the edge of the light form, the white form, will be more saturated, which is the key to make the glowing effect.
What's also strange is that you're achieving this effect that mimics a digital screen, like something that's very contemporary, very now, and yet you're using oil paint and turpentine to achieve that transparency, right? So this very old medium to mimic this very new kind of technology, right?
Yeah.
Talk a bit about why you use oil paint. What's the appeal of that medium?
In my technique, it takes not a lot of time, but it takes time to to slowly blend the colors together to make the saturated edge of the form. And if I use acrylic or I have tried other medium, but I think I like oil the most.
So let's move on to talk a little bit about the imagery in your paintings, particularly the ones that are on display downstairs. They share this kind of glowing form that kind of creates this sense of almost a narrative in the composition. And the form that's glowing has this squarish quality to it. Again, not so unlike the screens we hold in our hands. Can you talk about where this imagery comes from?
I was thinking about the digital world, the screen on our mobile phone that already becomes, a powerful environment to us that affect our life in many levels, and just like many cultures that see powerful environment as a god. So I think that this digital world is nothing but just like a god to us, a new deity, new god that have a representation as a illuminated screen.
Is that something you feel just looking outside at the rest of society that seems to worship digital environment, social media like a new deity, or is that you yourself as well?
To worship deity is like to make to help it to be exist, and it's not only me, but we all use the mobile phone. It's like to worship this god and to make this god exist.
So would you say you're addicted to social media?
Yeah, sure. Because it's a part of our world already, as its name, social media. Because we are social animal, it's hard to deny that. Yeah.
I think when we see other artworks, and there are some others in the art fairs here this week, from young artists who are thinking about social media, what we tend to see is the kinds of images that we see on social media. Whereas what we see here is something very different, almost abstract in the way that it's maybe addressing these issues of the kind of omnipresence and all-powerfulness of the digital screen in our life. So I remember when I asked you about this before, you described this as your process of metaphoring. I wonder if you could tell us a bit about how your interest in the power of the digital screen as a new deity combines with your interest in metaphoring as a way of making a composition in a painting.
When I was thinking about something deeply, or have an idea of something, there will be something like atmosphere around my head, or it's like a cloud in my head and my mind, and many things come out of the clouds. It's like a pool of content and context of the idea, the issue, and to metaphor, it's like maybe it's my personality that when I think about something, or when I get something from the clouds, I can easily think of another thing that have the same behavior. It's like my automatically behavior, like even when I'm saying something or saying no, I will not saying it directly.
Actually, one of the things I enjoy talking with you is that you don't like to say things directly. I think a lot of young artists, I ask them about their artwork, and they're very quick to say, "Oh, this artwork is about this." And for me, that kind of kills the mystery of an artwork. It kind of reduces it down to something too simple. And I remember in one of our earliest conversations, I asked you about your paintings, and you responded by giving me a poem.
The poem. Yeah, because for me it's easier to explain, because many things is beyond language, and it can convey better in a poetic way. Like I will read it out. This poem is came from the same clouds with other paintings. It's not an explanation for the painting. It's like another painting, and also painting is like just another poem. Okay, the name I call this poem "Timeless Touch" because I touch it timelessly. in the timeless field, where all places are as one like a dot. How much time has flown by I can't feel, as it does not exist. Whilst the infinity is here, waiting for just a touch. One by one, they are flying by, floating and flowing and floating, in a rush and up to the sky, to the past, the shrine, memory and eternity, falling up like an anti-gravity rain. Yet I'm singing into the endless rift. Yet there is never a displacement. I'm already in the beast, timelessly and unlocatedly, keeping on falling still.
Thank you.
I was, yeah, I was, scrolling the mobile phone, and I feel like I'm singing down to the, the when we are scrolling, the feed keep going up like a rain, but to the sky, and I will be like sinking down to go with the feed, to the stream of the feed.
To the abyss, right?
Yeah, to the abyss. It's like reading the endless book, and it feels so sublime to me that the world on the other side of our screen is so it's so big, it's going on forever. There's no night, there's no day, no sun, no moon. Everything keeps on active all the time, and it's so big, it's so massive that to metaphor about this is too massive that it can even blend the time of me that sitting and scrolling, and it makes me feel like maybe I scrolling like 1 hour, but I feel like just 5 minutes. Yeah, my time and space is changed.
That sense of the internet or social media as like an endless book, and of that as being sublime, I think that sense of the sublime comes through in the paintings as well. And I guess for me, the sublime is about space, but also about time. So you talked about that feeling of getting lost in scrolling, right? 1 hour passes and you feel like it's 5 minutes. But what about the time of paintings? Can you talk about not the time of the screen, but the time of the painting?
Yeah, this idea also came from the same cloud with the paintings and the poems, but it's not it's not, it's just a thought, it's not a work or useful thought. When I painting, it's like, for me, painting is a timeless space. We spend a lot of time creating just one frozen moment of reverie of the landscape, and it's being still, frozen. But on the other side, our physical world, or me, keep going on forever, like the world spinning, the universe going on, but on the other side, just being frozen. And these two are divided by the just flat surface. And this just like the relationship of me and the world on the other side of the screen. But I'm the one that being still, while on the other side of the screen keeps going on like forever, and divided by the flat surface.
I like this idea of the flat surface of the painting being somehow equivalent to the flat surface of the screen. And for me, to look at the flat surfaces of your paintings takes time to see the kind of the nuances and subtlety with which you blend the colors and achieve your glowing effect. And for me, the flat surface of a screen is something that takes no time at all. That the information is literally being emitted, broadcast to me. It doesn't require any active effort on my part. I think maybe we have an opposite relationship.
Yeah, for me, when painting is a space that timeless, it gave us, full potential to control time ourselves. Like we can spend so much time on just on the space of painting, or we just quick look of painting, or and sometimes my brain just stop. Like yeah, I've been running and I see the cat and stop painting. Where are we?
We can redirect your brain from this question of the time of the painting and the time of the screen to your idea of deep time. These are other works which were on display earlier in the week at SEA Focus, and if you're interested in seeing them, I'm sure the Nova team can show them to you. This is a different form. This is not the kind of square rectilinear form that mimics the screen or metaphors the screen. This is a form that is metaphoring lightning or flames or a form of abstract energy. This is, the way you talk about this, I think, is accessing another sense of the sublime, a sense of our existence connecting to a deep past. I wonder if you could talk a bit about what is lightning and the flame metaphoring for you.
Yeah, maybe after this we will go back to the previous slide. Yeah, at that time I was interested in the consciousness, and as is some kind of in neuron system, and the neural system also use like electric, and also the previous work of this series I paint the lightning, and then I would shift to something the thought of consciousness. And for me, the consciousness is like the alien of the universe, the monster of the universe that is so weird that it's something that separates itself from the universe, from the outside world. Like consciousness is like to feel ourselves and not to feel something else that is not us. And I think that is it's like the wall that separates us from the universe. Like we are the one who are observing, and the outer universe is something that being observed.
I think I know why you wanted to go back to the previous slide, because I think you have a sense of consciousness as being not individual, but somehow a collective shared soul of humanity, right?
Yeah.
And that's something that you're trying to visualize in some of these works.
Yeah. I may talk about this one, black and white one. I was thinking about if humanity ended and maybe our souls, everyone's souls, just go on, like as it's not really belong to us, like the souls is living around the earth, going on around the earth, but we just arrived, like the soul also in the forest, in the trees and animals. And what if the humanity is gone? I think the soul is gone, and it's a open question that I was thinking when I was painting this one. And for the green painting, back to the digital thought, when it become a god to us, I was also thinking about the sun, that we are just like all living creatures in the world is subjected to the sun. Like the sun is one of the the thing that create life, and just like all creatures that are subjected to the sun, we human now are also subject to the digital world that become like a god to us.
Maybe we can go back to one of the much earlier slides where there's the small painting, which is on display downstairs, the one on the left here, called the Golden Dawn. For me, at first glance, this looks like a sunrise, but of course it's not. Can you talk about how you see the sun and the digital coming together in this painting?
Yeah, this one is the rising, but not for the sun, but it's the rising of the screen. Because in the morning, the first light we see is no longer the light from the sun, but it's the light from the screen. Because the moment we wake up, we immediately trying to find the phone to check what's going on. Like, hey, whoa, I wake up. And yeah, it's the first light, just the first light is already changed. And so it sounds so hopeless for me that.
The first light you see is not the light of the sun, but the light of the screen.
Yeah, it sounds so hopeless. Like how the company can do to the world and we can do nothing because it already become like a god to us, and that sounds so hopeless. So I chose the yellow painting, the yellow color to, it's a color of hope, because I want to, keep on hoping for the future that maybe one day the technology or this God can make the world better. Yeah.
So I think one thing that ties together these different bodies of work, those dealing with the digital screen and those dealing with this imagery of lightning, they share this use of the RGB colors and the mimicry of the digital screen. They share this atmosphere of the sublime, but they also share this idea of you trying to navigate a force that's larger than you, but also larger than humanity. Lightning, the digital, these are things that shape what we can do, and yet we cannot shape them. And that to me is the thread that's been that's been running through these different bodies of work that you've shown us today. So maybe now we can move, and you could talk a little bit about your new body of work that you're producing for a solo exhibition.
Wait,
not yet.
I'm not sure I've said everything.
Okay. I don't think you'll ever say everything. That's okay.
Let me think.
Sure.
Where was I when I was, when my brain shut? I want to continue that.
When your brain stopped earlier, I think you were talking about this sense of time on the other side of the screen.
Yeah.
Painting at the space of the.
Because you feel that looking at the screen is have a quick feeling.
Yeah, and looking at a painting.
Yeah.
Is a slow
So
feeling.
okay. And I remember now. For me, the screen is not quick. It's not quick at all. It's timeless, because I feel like the something beneath the screen is trying to keep me on it forever, and this is opposite with the painting that we are the one that control time. As an artist and as a painter, when I paint, it's like I dedicating my time to convert it into space. It's like science process, and but while I scrolling, it's like spend time for nothing. The one who has benefits about this is not me, is the company. Yeah, it's like for me screen is so, it's like a black hole that stop time of my, like I'm sinking to the abyss.
Okay, so looking at the time, it would be nice if we can move on to talking about your new series,
Yeah.
The Comets. This is a new series that's going to be opening in a solo exhibition at Nova Contemporary in Bangkok next month. And no more screens, no more lightning. Now this sublime greater force, this force beyond our control, is the comet. So what is-
Actually, I make a metaphor over again above the screen things, and at first, before the comet, it was about the screen, right? And this is I was thinking about like a post-apocalyptic screen world, and that when all the souls and reality already shift to the screen world and live there, everything changed, past, forgotten, and then one day the comet appear. It's like it's like a metaphor of the bug of the system, like the glitch of the algorithm that appear from nowhere that disrupt the system.
I remember you were talking about the bug and the glitch in the algorithm of a game, in a gaming environment.
Yeah. This series is when the comet appear, the souls and the souls on Earth is it's like gravitated toward the comet, and this is I was inspired by when I was playing the game and the bug appear somewhere in the map, and me and other players like to go to that area of bug. I don't know why, but maybe it's like a weird thing, strange thing that happened in the world that we want to know about, like what outside, what like we want to understand more about our time and space, what's behind the system, what's behind the rule.
So for you, the comet is like a bug or a glitch in the cosmos, and you're drawn to it, like you're in a game.
Yeah. And in many belief, comet also is like a bad omen to the system, to the, it's like a bad omen.
So in this series, the comet has this function of metaphoring for a bad omen, but we also have the soul and its reflection in this work.
Yeah, because sometimes the bad omen or the revolutionary also comes from the souls on Earth, which is normal soul, like normal people that is not from outer space, not from the sky, but is from inside. Yeah. So it's a kind of reflection that you can see that the reflection on the bottom is just like the comet, but it's a reflection of the soul.
So what at first appears to me maybe very abstract, actually these are doing very specific metaphoring things, these forces of energy in your paintings.
Yeah, I want it to be more romantic, more magical, because I think like the soul it was like trying to liberate itself. For me, it's romantic. Yeah, for for the soul that already exists.
I think for me it's a funny sort of tension where you talk about this romantic idea, but then earlier when you were talking about the post-apocalyptic vision of humanity, this sounds very sci-fi to me. So I remember I was asking you, like, what do you read, what do you look at, what inspires you or guides you towards these metaphors? And you gave us this mind map. Shall we show people your mind map?
Yeah. This is the mind map for the series of the Comet. Yeah, it's the map.
It's even more difficult to enter than the poem or the painting, I think.
Yeah, it's also the map of the digital world, that how it create and how it relate to the old world, and even the before the world exists. As you can see, before the solar system. Yeah, I connect everything.
So this is the sense of deep time, right? Before the solar system. And
Yeah.
I remember you saying to me that you were interested in with all of this talk of time, the time of the surface of the painting, the time of the surface of the screen, the deep time of before humanity, before the solar system. I think the thing that ties these things together is memory, and you're interested in these imaginaries of memory for things that we haven't even experienced. I remember you saying to me that the comet comes from a time of the dinosaurs, and it makes us nostalgic for that time that we never even experienced.
Yeah, I was. The core idea is about, the something inside that we have already forgotten is triggered by the comet, and that's the beginning of, many things. Like, I don't want to spoil. uh, yeah, it's like to go back and to go forward as they are the same way. Yes, some kind.
Definitely looking forward to this solo exhibition. Maybe we should open up if the audience has any questions for you. Does anyone have anything, Sinead?
Hi, hello. Hello, everyone. You can hear me good?
Yeah.
Right. I just thought to ask, I'm curious because we've covered a lot of ground here in terms of painting techniques, origin ideas, digital technology, etc. Where and how does religion feature for you, both in this case, reading these paintings?
Religious?
Yeah, religion. The idea of it, your faith, your belief, does it feature in your works? And for Roger as well, what you think of it and how it perhaps works with ideas of the cosmos, etc.
It's very hard to religions.
Yeah.
How I think about it.
Does religion feature in big in your works?
There was, I think there are many idea of, religious things like, in religion there are many type of belief, like, we believe. Maybe this one is like, we are believing in the one God, just one God, but there are also the belief that, like, the idea of Brahman and Atman, that you know Brahman and Atman, Brahman is like a sea, the ocean, and Atman is like a wave. And for me, the digital world is like a sea, the ocean, and what happens on our screen is like a wave. Yeah, you see the connection. Yeah, it's like it's a bit religious, but my purpose is not religious.
I think that answer really shows the very kind of unexpected and idiosyncratic approach that you're taking in the work, where of course it's religious, it's spiritual, but it's not about the familiar forms of religion that we might associate, particularly with contemporary art in Thailand. So I'm happy this question came up, because it offers a way for me to say that I think one of the things that's very important and significant about your work is that there's nothing Thai about it. it doesn't engage directly with political issues in Thailand or even in Southeast Asia in a way that so many artists of your generation do, but it also doesn't engage directly with Buddhist imagery in the way that so many artists in Thailand in previous generations and in your generation continue to do. It takes this very roundabout, very idiosyncratic and individual and frankly just weird approach to spirituality. So I hope that goes some way to answering the question. Thanks, Sineng.
Yeah, thank you.
Anyone else have questions or things they'd like to add?
Thank you for both of your sharing and sharing. So my question is that I just want to share that. To be honest, this is my first time seeing your work, but I really felt that very connected because I think beyond visuality, there's something much more than translating through work. So and then during the conversation, I think we have touched on gamification and you know like this current society where now we are doing so much on fantasy, so much on thrills, and every day we're just consuming different kind of spectacles, right? So my question is that if we are trying to translate collective consciousness, right? If we assume this like a group collective consciousness, how do you think it's translatable through different mediums, be it poems, visual, and how do you see this?
To be as one, is that what you mean by, collecting the consciousness?
Yeah, if we assume that, we have this collective consciousness as a whole, and you are trying to translate this through a medium, and how much do you think it's a assumed collective consciousness, or how much do you think it's affecting by the social media?
I see. Very interesting question. I also have this issue in my class. As we are already subjected to the digital world, our existence depends on the digital world. Like, you know me from my digital profile, and to imagine for the future, if we can. Before that, we don't have to imagine for the future. Maybe now it's like we are living in the room, or just maybe in the same culture. We also share many things, many thoughts, and maybe many styles. We also share. We have the same, like we are in the same country. Social media is just like also the place for humanity that share something, like we are in the same place, like when something being trained to us, and I can see many culture that come from the social media that also affect my life, and I can feel that it collecting our consciousness, also that I don't know how to say about this, but it's like we are a part of something big inside that world too, and also we are sharing and putting something to it too. And to imagine further in the future, if everything, our consciousness and our information can unite together as a one, and I think it's something like the state of singularity that time and space disappear, like in the poem I wrote, like everything be like a dot, that there will be no distance from me and you, and there will be no difference from yesterday and today, because we are one, everything are one, and we are one with all information. Every change we are that change. Is this understandable? Like, I don't know if I go too abstract.
For me, it's a really interesting question to bring up this idea of translation, because for me, I don't see your work as a translation. You're interested in these very abstract, philosophical, cosmic ideas about collective consciousness, about deep time, and your work finds a way to use your words earlier, to come from the same cloud as those ideas. But I don't see your work as translating those ideas into a painting or into a poem. In the same way that you said the poem is not an explanation of the painting, it just comes from the same cloud as the painting. I see your paintings and your poems as coming from the same cloud as these philosophical ideas about cosmic time and a collective soul. What do you think? Do you think of your work as translating?
It's not really a translating, because translating is it's translating to another thing which have the same meaning. But my work is more like to make a metaphor, as I mentioned before, that I also create in the process, creating more in the process, and it's not a logical or rational process. It's kind of feeling, intuition things.
So metaphoring instead of translating.
I'm sorry.
Metaphoring instead of translating.
Yeah.
Any last questions at the back there?
Yeah. When I was looking at your painting, the first thing that caught my eye was the light. But as I go closer, a lot of the viewing attention actually is in the areas outside the light. I see the brush mark, I see the details of the environment that is around the light. So I know a lot of the talk today has been focusing on the symbolism of the light and what light means to you, but my question is actually, how do you deal with the darkness around the light where most of the painting happens? And of course you showed us the RGB and the CMYK, and in some respect painting is closer to CMYK, and CMYK has black, which RGB doesn't have. So I was wondering, in your painting process on a technical level or on a metaphorical level, what is darkness? How do you deal with the space of the darkness that's around the light?
Horribly difficult question.
For me to make the dark area is to layering, add more layer, and it becomes darker. And what I think about the outside area, because outside area it depends on painting, but I would say that it's like the area outside, it's the area that's not verified. It's like outside how to say? It's like the area that is not confirmed by the God. It's like it's the area that being covered by the light of the God, and I don't actually want to say God. It's the area that being covered by the light, and as I always interested in the, powerful environment, and as the light is a, powerful thing, and it's so powerful that cover all area and turn it to the color of the light aura. Yeah, and the dark area is also something that we don't know, that is outside the knowledge of God, outside the knowledge of power, because many say that power is also knowledge, and the unknown area is also the area that it exists, but it's not verified it to have exist. Yeah, I don't know if I answered the question right. Yes.
Go ahead.
Sorry, I just thought to add on and ask this another question which might be simpler, requires a simpler answer. Talking about this idea of outside, right, and the undefined, the limits of your painting, for instance. I noticed in the works that you showed us, the formats are all quite different from each other in terms of dimensions of the canvas. And can you speak more about why that is so? That for each individual work, it seems to me, from what's presented, dimensions are all vary.
I mean the size of the canvas. Yeah, for me, as I mentioned, there's a world in the painting, and for me, the painting, the flat surface, the limited square, is like the whole universe of that painting. And to play with the size of the painting is like to stretch the time and space of that universe, that reverie, like, which is depends on what I want to tell. Yeah, is to stretch time and space.
Maybe to connect that back to the previous question, because I think the previous question was saying that a lot of what we've talked about today has been about the metaphor of the light, but actually most of the work you're doing in your paintings is the color, the darkness around the light. Is the process of making these paintings maybe a way of trying to think about how you can stretch the time and space, or how you can understand these kind of invisible cosmic forces, these powerful environments around you, around us all?
Maybe I think time and space for me, like to stretch time and space, is for me it's just a tool to tell the story. Yeah, and I want to say about the dark area that the dark area is very important because it's the area that make the light glow. Yeah.
Maybe that's a nice moment for us to finish. So thank you again to everyone for coming. Thank you again to C-Focus and Art Agenda for having us. And thank you so much, Supawich, for
Thank
your
you so
time
much.
and sharing.
Thank you for having me.